My name is Jenna Dabney. I've been at Twin Parks for a very long time. Started as a toddler teacher and am now wearing many hats, one of which is the infant toddler coordinator, which means I get to lead this really amazing, we'll call it, workshop on toileting. I will say, if at any point you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and just ask in the middle, interrupt. I'm good with that. Put it in the chat and I'll get to it. Um, However, you feel like having your voice heard is great. I do want to start before when we get into our toileting, I want to start by saying two quick things. One, please do not stress yourself out. After this workshop, if you immediately think your child is ready to begin the process, the first, second, third, and fourth thing you should do are talk to your child's teachers. You cannot do this on your own. You should not do this on your own. They are with your children. They are experts in this as well. Also, don't stress. I have yet to see a mostly typically developing child graduate high school in a diaper. All of our children will get toilet trained and they'll figure it out. It'll be okay. So I'm so not good at this yet. All right, share this. Let's see, what are we seeing? Nothing useful? Oh, that is not, this one is better. Thank you, sorry about this, guys. I am not the most tech savvy human. Slideshow. All right, so everyone can see this, yes? I hope, awesome. I will start by talking briefly about Montessori's approach and the way that we sort of begin things here at Twin Parks, because we really believe that this whole process about learning about your body and the functions and sort of how to begin to control and identify this begins in infancy. I'm assuming that none of the parents on here have 4 or 5 month olds, but a little backstory I think really helps. So this begins the minute teachers begin working with your infants. They're talking about the process. They're very slow. It can take one of our infant teachers 10 or 15 minutes to change one diaper because they are really calm. They're very slow. They're very intentional. And as much as possible, they're trying to engage the child in what they're doing. So they will show a young infant their diaper and say, look, you've made a bowel movement. Look, this is what your body does after you eat. And they will engage in those conversations. As children get older, they will have the child feel their diaper and say, look, this is urine. Your diaper is wet. We need to change this. If they notice, I know my son very quickly, had a spot in his classroom this year that he would go to when he needed, to poop in his diaper, and he would go and his teachers start to talk to him about that and say, oh, is that what you're doing? Okay, when you're done, we're going to go to the bathroom and we're going to change you. And as soon as is appropriate for children, they begin to wash hands with the children. As infants are able to, we transition and we change children standing up. We no longer have them lie on a changing table. This allows us to change the child's diaper in the bathroom, just starting that association that this is where this process happens. And again, they're involving children in the process. So they're having older infants and toddlers pull their own pants down, finding the tabs of their diaper to remove the diaper themselves. Every time, I know when my child was in our infant room, by the time he was 8 months old, they were asking, do you want to sit on the toilet? At no point did anyone expect him to be successful at using the toilet when he was 8 months old. But I do think it really helps as many young children have a fear around the toilet. And I think that just that starts to ease children's comfort very quickly. Excuse me. And again, when children are done either changing their diaper or using the toilet, we always have children wash their hands, even young infants, just to they understand routine. And that's a critical part of the process. So that's sort of our backstory. Yeah, there's some fun photographs in here. um, so signs that signs to look for when you think your child is getting close to wanting to wear underwear or being ready to wear underwear. You identify that you're changing their diaper less frequently, right? They're able to stay dry longer. They're expressing discomfort in having their diaper either wet or soiled. They want to take it off. They enjoy sitting on the toilet. A big piece of this, and I think this often gets lost in it. If a child is physically able to control going to the bathroom and control their body, but they are unwilling to sit on the toilet, that child's not ready to be toilet trained. There are so many pieces of it. There's the cognitive awareness, there's the physical ability to control your bladder, and there's the emotional piece of being willing to do this. All three of those have to be in line before this will be a success. As much as you're comfortable, I recommend, if you have older siblings who are successful, have your child come with you to the bathroom, right? That allows them to see the process, to see that this is a normal, everyday thing, but also it encourages them to imitate you or older siblings or cousins. If they're interested and able to dress or undress themselves, and if they've ever sat on the toilet and have been successful, you want to celebrate those successes and keep that going. And of course, the child has to be interested in underpants. Here are our routines to success, as is true about everything of children this age. Consistency is key, right? And establishing a successful routine as early on in the process as possible will also really help this go a little smoother. I want to stop here and say really quickly, the ages here are guides, they are not definitives. There is no one size fits all method to this. This is the way that we recommend, or way that we have seen children be most successful. I will, tell stories as we go on about other strategies that parents or teachers have had to implement, because every personality has to come into play here. And even our 15-month-olds have very strong personalities that need to be considered as we make these big transitions. So generally, children between 18 and 24 months old are in that, what we call sensitive period for toilet learning. This does not mean that all children between 18 and 24 months will become successful at using the toilet. This means generally children show a greater interest in using the toilet in those months. Really paying attention to your child's patterns. Have they started to make a bowel movement around the same time of day every day? Right? Starting to as early on as possible, starting to find moments of introducing and having them sit on the toilet as part of your natural routine. Something I've done is I have a 20, I guess now he's 23-month-old. So he's right in that sensitive period. He's not going to be toileted in a month. It's just not happening. And that's okay. But one thing I've done for probably 6 or 8 months now is every day he takes a bath before bed, and right before the bath and right after the bath, he sits on the toilet. Maybe once a week he will be successful, but we celebrate that. And that's just part of his routine now. I don't even have to ask. It's just what we do. Allowing children to flush, that can be a very scary part of the process, depending on your apartment building's plumbing system. It can be very loud. It can be, fairly aggressive. And so getting children used to these things as early as possible. And then, children have all sorts of questions, and they don't really have the filters that we have, which is why I love them so much. So they will ask many questions about the process. Answer them as honestly as you feel comfortable. And another one, a lot of this advice comes down to the family's comfort, but allowing children to explore all different kinds of underpants to see what feels comfortable to them. And so this may mean that if you have a son that your natural instinct will be to go to the, the aisle in the store that has typically what we would call boys underpants. He may prefer to wear a pair of pink underpants, and that may be that little hook that helps him be more successful. Or you have a daughter who really likes trucks, and this hook of, we want to go use the toilet so that your trucks don't get wet, may be what helps them be most successful. So being flexible around that may also be helpful. Again, I will say this: consistency is key. While I think I mentioned to a parent maybe last week that while I was in the classroom, there were a small handful of children who came to school 5 days a week. And for various reasons, the family was just not ready to take that leap and transition to underwear. But I knew the child was ready. So after 2 weeks of being fully toileted in school, I said, oh, by the way, she hasn't worn diapers in 2 weeks. You don't need to send them anymore. So it is possible that children will be more successful either at home or at school to begin with. Work through that with your teachers. Children will get through that. So that's one. I will say, if you think your child is ready, again, the first thing to do is set up a time to speak with your teaching team. Make a plan, stick with the plan. Again, the plan for one child may or may not be the same as another. So just because you heard from a parent in your child's class that, oh, this is what we did and it worked, it may not work for your child. So make sure that you're speaking with your teacher's team, with your teachers, and be thoughtful about your specific child's personality. I always tell, those of you at Riverside know Candace. When I was in the classroom, I had her son, and at no point did he show any of these signs of readiness. He was not, staying dry for longer periods of time. He was not asking to sit on the toilet. He was not willing to. And I want to say maybe it was Martin Luther King weekend. We came back to school and Candace just said, I was done. I don't want to change diapers anymore. He's in underwear. And he was fine. He never had an accident. And he's in high school now. That's been his personality. He just needs a little push. And some kids just need to be told, this is what we're doing. And it worked for him. That doesn't work for all. I would say it doesn't work for most, but it worked for him. And so know your child is key to this. When you have a plan and you've made the plan, and all adults in the child's life, thankfully, sort of now that we're in this more socially distanced, not so hanging out with many people sort of world, the number of adults in your child's life is probably less this year than it has been in the past, but every adult who is working or interacting with your child needs to be on board. You make the plan, everyone's on board, you move forward, right? And that might mean for a day or two that you're not really leaving the house so much because you want to have access to a toilet quickly. When you first start, there are 4-year-olds who still don't tell teachers or their parents, hey, I need to use the bathroom. They need to be told it's time to go. It's that piece comes much later. And so don't stress about that. What we typically recommend is, you spend maybe a long weekend at home. You have your child, we don't ask, we tell children. I will pick on my own son, Benjamin, it's time to go use the bathroom. Every hour, right? Because at this point we have noticed that children are going to the bathroom less frequently. So generally every hour to start. And let's just say, hey, it's time to go to the bathroom, let's go. I recommend, I don't remember if it's on this slide, and I will find the link to it because we just put one in our bathrooms at home. Not using a separate potty and getting either an insert, or I'll find the link and I'll send it out, to a different toilet seat that everyone uses, but it has the smaller child insert in it. This just eliminates another process and another step in the process, and another thing that your child now has to get comfortable with, right? If a child, there are many children I've worked with who the parent says, I don't understand what's going on at school. They go all the time. And I ask, where do they go? And they have, they go on the potty seat. And I said, oh yeah, that's really different from a toilet. And so the quicker we get children just using the toilet, I think the more successful we will be. There are many portable toilet options that if you're in the park, you just unfold them. There's like a plastic bag, you tie it up when you're done, you move on. Those are great if you're going on road trips, if you know that you're going to be in the park for a long time. And then make sure you have books that you can read or that your child can just explore about toileting. The children love to see and talk about other children they know that are doing it, and that often will come in a book. When you're ready, be very thoughtful about the clothing you put children in. Children will start to recognize that they need to use the bathroom at the very last second. And so they don't have time to do buckles and buttons and belts and suspenders and any of that. They really need to be in, and I recommended to a parent just last week, getting pants maybe that are half a size too big, right? If your child is now wearing 24-month-old, maybe get 2T so that they're really quick to pull down. Everything should be elastic, no extra steps, right? And so if children are wearing onesies with the snaps, once they're ready to start using the toilet, we generally recommend not wearing them after your child is out of the infant program, because that is just another step. Being no snaps, no buckles, all of these things, only shirts that pull over their head. And this can be a little bit of a gross process. And so expect many accidents, and make sure that your classroom teachers have an extra pair of socks and shoes. This is a great time if you have, what are they called? Crocs that could just get rinsed out, right? When children have accidents, we'll rinse them, we'll dry them, we move on as indoor shoes. There's that. Oops, too far. I will say, when you're ready, one thing that I know children love to do, and it can be really empowering, although maybe not as possible this year, but being creative about let children pick out their own underpants, right? If that's taking them to the store and saying, hey, pick out what you want. We're going to start this on Monday, or doing this in 2 days. Let's pick out underwear together. What do you want? Or if you don't take your child to the store, pull it up on a website and go through it. And let's pick, which color do you want? What design would you like? This is yours. You get to pick this. This is just a quick slide about why we at Twin Parks really recommend avoiding pull-ups. For so many reasons. The shortest reason that I will give as a parent is they're really just overpriced diapers. There is very little difference. You pay more for the package and you get less of them in it than you do a diaper. And the children don't feel that they've used the diaper at all. And that is key. They need to be able to feel wetness. Pull-ups, while they are called pull-up, are actually quite difficult for a child to pull up and down. They sort of roll over on themselves. They get all twisted. And the child knows that they're not in underpants. The one time I would say is, we sort of okay to use a pull-up is if you're going on a long trip, right? If you are going on an airplane and you're going to be on the airplane for 12 hours, absolutely put a pull-up on your child. Like, don't create more stress for yourself or your child. If your child needs to use a diaper overnight, which again is very common, and you want to get pull-ups and call them nighttime underwear, that's fine, right? Call them something different. But really during the day, I strongly recommend not using pull-ups. If you've bought them and are using them, keep doing it. Don't throw them away. It's okay. But once you run out, I really would recommend transitioning to underwear. As I said, this is a process. It is very rare that you and your teachers are so fantastic and so tuned into your child that you can wake up and say, today they will wear underwear and they will never have an accident. I actually don't know that I've ever heard of this. It's possible. Maybe you have a miracle child, but I've never heard of a toddler who has never had an accident. It's okay. And we need to tell our children, it's okay. right? No one's perfect. Accidents happen. That's how we learn, right? We have accidents all the time, not the same ones, but everyone makes mistakes. This is how we learn. Um, Understand that often children need to have one or two accidents so they really make the association of, oh, wait, I don't really like the way this feels. I should pay more attention to my body. Or I really don't like the way this feels. Maybe when dad tells me to stop doing my puzzle and use the bathroom, I should listen, right? These sort of cues to their own body um, are really important for them. Again, trying, even if your child has 10 accidents a day, doing your best not to overreact. This is just a part of the process. Yeah, it may be dirty. It may be unfortunate. You may be doing lots of laundry. We're all also always doing lots of laundry, but this may increase. Know that going into this. Know that. Um, as I said, many children are successful at using the bathroom during the day for weeks, sometimes years before they are ready to not wear a diaper at night. Things to keep in mind. Pay it again. This is a big observation process. Pay attention to your child. Are they waking up for 2 straight weeks and they're dry? Because then they may be ready to not wear a diaper at night. Insist that your child use the toilet right before they go to bed. Also understand that as children are 2.5 and 3, they are very intelligent creatures and they will very quickly learn how to manipulate that. And so that may mean that your bedtime routine becomes longer because it's oh, I need to pee. Oh, I need to go one more time. I need to go. And so coming up with strategies to handle that, I think will be critical also. And then limiting how much your child has to drink before they go to bed. Right? If a child is drinking cups and cups of water, of course they're going to have to use the bathroom before they go to sleep. I think this is our last, I believe, yes. So when you make your plan, stick with it. Be in it for the long haul. Try as hard as you can to work through the difficulties. As most things, I'm going to hesitate saying this because I think parents will hold me to it. You should start to see progress after a week, maybe 2. It may take 2 weeks before you start to see progress. Try your best not to throw your hands up in the air and say, forget it, they're clearly not ready, and put your child back in diapers. It is possible that you try too early and ultimately you will have to, make that call. But as children are older and we make that decision, we just subconsciously tell them that they're not ready, that we don't trust them, that, they just get confused. And so if your child is closer to 2.5, really stick it out so that you don't have to put them back in diapers. And then again, I put in here the last sort of reminder: teamwork, consistency, patience, love, and encouragement. And your child will successfully use the toilet. It will happen. I promise. I'm going to maybe attempt to stop and ask who has recommendations for potty books. I do have a little bit of a list. Any of those books that were on the PowerPoint, I know there are, if you just Google potty books boys or potty books girls, you'll get hundreds of them. I don't know of any damaging or any bad books about toileting.
So are the books something to start before we even start the process? To start
Absolutely.
The book, they'll start using the language and then know when to start. Okay.
Yeah, in terms of language, use what you're comfortable with, right? I will say in school, teachers use scientific actual labels of body parts. And so your child may come home and say, Mom, I have a penis. Yeah, you do. And that may not be language that is typically used at home, but that is what is used at school. But, children also need to be able to communicate. And so I don't know of any, 18 or 24-month-old that will walk around saying, I need to make a bowel movement. Can I go to the bathroom? Right. And so it's okay. We do it all the time, right? To give children words that they can say to communicate their needs, right? And so often children are saying poop or pee, right? Those are not the scientific words, but they need to communicate. So use what you use in your family, and that will translate well into school. I do recommend either an insert or this toilet seat, which I should have had on this website. I couldn't find a visual on the PowerPoint, but I will send it to Susan, and maybe we'll put it in the newsletter or something, that you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's. You can probably get it on Amazon. And it's a typical, you would remove your current toilet seat and put this one in. And it has the lid, as the lid goes up and down, you would just have the insert. It just creates a smaller space for the child to sit, but it's just like a typical toilet seat. And so I do recommend either that, or if you wanted to get, one of the inserts and use that, I recommend one of those over an independent potty seat that gets put on the floor. Is it okay? Thanks, Anne. Way to be on top of things. Is it okay to start Rockstar? Start with underwear at home on the weekends and then a diaper for school. Is it okay? Sure. Does it send mixed messages? Probably. Probably. But there are things that you can do at home before you jump right into let's wear underwear. Something that I've started doing because my son is showing interest, not ability, but interest, is, he wears a diaper at home, but he doesn't wear pants on the weekend, right? The house is warm up. And so he has started, every time he pees, takes his diaper off and goes to the bathroom. So he is starting to say, hey, I don't want this on me anymore. We've got it. Whereas if his pants are on, he'll just keep playing because he doesn't really have easy access to his diaper. From the time he was 7 months old and refused to lie down, we've been changing his diaper standing up, and all the time in the bathroom. And so one thing I recommend, if you have the ability to do this, is I've cleared out the bottom cabinet under the sink in the bathroom, and the only thing in there are his diapers, his creams, and his wipes. And so he goes to get everything he needs when he needs it. Again, that's just involving children in the process as early on as possible.
So sorry, that was my question. And I have to run for work in a second, but so if our daughter's very interested in sitting on the potty, she really wants to go in when I'm in the bathroom. She likes to sit at the same time as me. So do you recommend that we just keep her in diapers and let her take the diaper off herself until she is actually, because sometimes she has a dry diaper and then pees in the potty, and sometimes she doesn't. It's really kind of hit or miss. So we have the underwear, but do you recommend don't put on the underwear until she more reliably tells us she has to go?
Well, so I will say my first thing is talk to her teachers. If she is using the toilet at school, it may be that you're ready to just put her in underwear, right? And accept that she will have accidents. But if she is using the toilet both at home and at school, even somewhat reliably, it may be worth just going for it. But I would talk to her teachers before you make that call, right? There are many, if she's using the toilet at home and never at school, it's not time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Is the overnight diaper the last to be removed? Typically, yes. Yeah, because we're asking children to stay dry for anywhere from, if you're unlucky like me, 8 hours, if you're really lucky, 12 hours, right? And that's a long time to be able to control your bladder. So yeah, typically that's the last diaper to be removed.
I have a question. So
Yeah,
with diapers, and so she can feel
mm-hmm.
her wetness all the time. So in that case, do we need to still transition to underwear because it's easier to get on and off?
Yeah.
Okay, you still.
Yeah, right. A lot of this is independence, right? And confidence. And if they need to be able to do things on their own, right? Teachers tell me we will have children transition from our toddler room, and in September they go to early childhood. And the toddler teachers will say, I don't understand. They were fully independent. Like, why are they having so many accidents? And I'll ask, and the toddler, and it will come out that no, the teacher went in there, pulled their pants down for them, pulled them up. That's not fully independent, right? You're still relying on someone else to help you with the process. So yeah, so if you can find underwear that are easy to pull on and off, that it's the only way children will figure this out. I will say that I have not ever seriously considered going and back to school. I've got enough student loan debt, but I've always been very intrigued by the fact that this is such a huge milestone for children. They understand very early on, they are the only ones who control this, right? Nothing we do will ever, we can't dictate when children use the bathroom, and they know that. And once they've achieved this, there is a huge psychological shift in children. I shouldn't say everyone because children are all different. But in the probably hundreds, maybe close to 1,000 children I've been a part of helping to successfully use the toilet, I've seen it in a large majority. They become less argumentative about just about everything else because they finally feel they have total control over something. They don't need to argue about everything. They just argue about some things. And so toileting is such a gross and not that exciting thing to talk about, but the after effects I think that it has on children's confidence and interaction with the world, I think has always been fascinating to me.
Jenna,
Yes, ma'am.
is there actual science or just anecdotal support to the argument that boys potty train later than girls? Or am I just using that wives' tale as an excuse to not potty train my son after my daughter potty trained early?
I think it's a good crutch. Anecdotally, I do think that the majority of children who have toileted successfully closer to 3 have been boys. I've also had children at 20 months who are boys be fully toileted, and girls who are 3.5 have no interest. But I think those are outliers. Yeah, I think it's a crutch, Anne.
Totally fair. No,
Yeah.
We know we need to do this. We just.
Yeah. Who else has fun toileting questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I came in a little late, so sorry about that. I missed the
Okay.
first 10, 12 minutes. So Remy, we have both actually. We have the little potty and we have the insert. He'll kind of sit on both, but I was playing hide and go seek with him like 2 weeks ago. He didn't come find me, and I went to go look for him, and he actually went and used the potty by himself, like the little one, and he had both a BM and but I think what happened was that that's the first time he ever saw his poop, and it kind of scared him, I think. And he kind of like freaked out a little bit, and I was like, it's okay. And now he holds his pee, and he won't pee. Like he'll hold it all day. And even if I ask him to sit on the potty and all of it, he won't do it. And then at night, he just keeps peeing his bed because it's just going through his diapers and all of it. So I don't really know if I should. He can clearly do it. I just don't know whether I push him or what do I do next, I guess.
I have a couple of thoughts. One, I would say take a step back.
Okay.
Right? Don't talk about it. Don't bring it up. Just change his diaper. No big deal. Let it sort of, as much as it will in his brain, sort of disappear for a while. It is very common for children to be 100% successful peeing on the toilet and 0% successful pooping on the toilet. There is anyone who's met Dr. Ann Colantoni, there's a different psychological piece of letting go that children often don't do or aren't ready for. If that's true, continue to put them in underwear and tell them it's okay. if you want to poop, just ask for a diaper. It's not a big deal, right? We want this to be as stress-free for children as possible, because just what Lindsay said will happen. Children will hold their urine, they will hold their poop. And the last thing we want is for a child who is toileting, who's in that process, to be constipated, because then it hurts. And now they really don't want to go. And then you've got to go to the pediatrician. And then it becomes such a bigger thing that it's just not fair, right? We don't want to stress children out and then cause physical discomfort to them. So if you've seen that, if it's starting, just take a step back. It's okay, right? It may be that this is his window physically, but not emotionally, and you need them both to be open, right? You need both. Windows come back around, right? It's not like, oh, I missed it, now he'll never be toilet. Like, no, it'll come back around, and he'll be in underwear soon enough.
Hi, I have a question. My son Theo is going to be joining your school this fall. So right now I have him home with a nanny. I've got the little potty, it's kind of a toy. He's peed on it a couple of times. So, you've given me a lot of good ideas about like changing him only in the bathroom, doing the standing up thing. I think we need to do that more. But I guess like right now, I don't like he has a couple of activities he does, but he's not with teachers full time. So there's, I guess, a little concern in my mind, like, oh, on Monday and Tuesday, it'll be fine because he can be home with a nanny or like at, wherever where there's potty access. So I guess in my scenario, like I feel like he likes the potty books, he can be dry for a while, I can start doing some of these things, but what would be the right next step? Because at some point, like he's almost 2, he's 2 in like 2 weeks. So he's entering the zone of like, I want to take another more profound step with him because he gets it. And I think he will, be able to do the next thing, but I just don't want to make it confusing for going out to the park or going to do an activity or something like that.
I would say the easiest and sort of most doable next step is to identify 2 or 3 times of the day where everyone uses the bathroom. And whether he's successful or not, everyone sits, right? And so before we leave the house, everyone has to use the bathroom. And so you go, the nanny goes, okay, Theo, your turn, you go sit. It doesn't have to do anything, but everyone tries. So I would say start with, before we leave the house and before bath. And just that's now part of your routine.
Okay.
And then you'll start to see if he's starting to become more successful, then add another one in. Right?
Okay, but stick with the diapers
Yeah.
until I'm really ready to commit, because then during the day, I really want to just do undies all the time. Okay.
Exactly.
So, because if I flip it, it'll just
Yeah.
complicated for him. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. This is great. Thanks for
Yeah,
these
of course.
tips. It's very useful.
The other tip I would say, even when if you've got a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old who has already sort of mastered this, is anytime you go to a new place, when we're allowed to go to places again, right? If you're going to a restaurant or you go to a museum, the first stop, whether it's not that everyone has to go use the bathroom, but hey, look, we're at a place and it has a bathroom, and this is where it is. So at any point that you need to go, this is where we'll go. Right. And just telling children that there are bathrooms beyond school and home, I think becomes really helpful as you move on. Any other thoughts or questions? All right, amazing. If after this you decide you have more questions, you can always email me. I have about 11 different Twin Parks emails. Pick one. I check them all. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you. Thanks, Jenna. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Jenna.
Thank you.